Let's talk about the stone and towering goo. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. The stone goo is actually very similar to air goo bomb. These two should be vanished and replaced by something. In the case of air goo bomb, it was being replaced by air. The stone goo bomb will be replaced by a stone. Now, before I start writing the code, here is some part that I'm doing time and time over and over in every single one of the goos, at least not the chance part, but the top part, because I want to make sure that the goo can spread, can be activated, and it's already powered. If there is a false situation in one of these two logics, if it's not spreadable or if it's not powered, then we don't want to do anything with any of our goos. So do I want to copy paste this code all over the place over and over and over? Hell no. To make things easier for myself, I think that I will copy paste it somewhere in our code. Now this raises a question. Where should I put the code? Normally you would want to have your own helper method or helper class or something that makes sense to have a separate method as a static method. In this case, we don't have any base class for every one of the goos, or in this case, tick logics. However, I can do something else. I have a dedicated base class for the goo itself. Now, I may be able to use it. So if I find this goo base and open it, I come back and get the whole thing from here. And let's cut it actually. Coming into goo base, of course, we have some methods that are related to blocks. However, who said that I can't have a method that is a helper method and is related to block entities? Remember, getTicker or anything related to that is one of these examples. So we can say public static that returns a boolean, and we call it should not tick. And here all we are asking for is a word, and I will paste it here. And we say if the word is not the server word, we return false. Otherwise, if any of these situations are not met, again, return false, and at the end, we return true, and that would be our helper method. Now, inside here, I will say if goo base dot should not tick with the word. Now, I don't have the word. I did cut it from the method, and I shouldn't. So I come back here. At the top, I will assign the word, and here I will say word. I do need the word here because as you see we are doing things with the word, but that's it. Again, this part can be cut and paste into another method because sometimes we are going for that, but as you see here we are using different values per block. Of course all of these are integers, so I can handle it, but again we are not reducing so much of a code because we say that hey, sorry I missed this return, we are saying that hey, if something is not working, return. So by adding an extra layer of a method call, we are just removing one single line of code, and in my opinion that doesn't make sense. By the way, you may notice that my IntelliSense is not working properly because I already added 4 different mods into the whole thing, and they are not actually added to the Gradle, and the IntelliJ idea is right now indexing them, and it's taking a whole lot more than what it should. I'm telling you, it's near 40 minutes already, and it's not even halfway through, and I'm not sure if that will be the case from now on or not, but I already updated to 2025.1.1.1 ultimate version, and somehow I think it became a little bit laggy. I hope that it will be fixed. I don't know. I hope that it will fix itself. Anyway, now that we have this section and we fixed that repetitive code, I can copy it. I will come back to the stone, and inside the tick method, I will paste it. However, inside the stone, first things first, I don't need to check if I have lava or water on top of myself, because now I'm gonna use stone block to replace myself, and because of that I will not let lava flow down or water flow down, so I don't care about that. And here the chance will be stone bomb goo chance, and believe it or not, this will be our stone goo bomb. Now the next one that we want to cover is the towering. Before I even start coding in the towering, you will notice that we don't have the tick client override. I fixed my library so you don't need to constantly override it inside the tick logic classes. One less problem. Okay, we want this part Let's take it there. But after checking if we should take, we want to make sure that we have the chance. Actually, now that I think about it, I want the chance to be presented in many of my goo blocks, other than maybe the pumps. And honestly, the pumps are something that I may drop because now I have machines that will pump the fluid. This is making trouble for my brain right now. Do I want to keep these three inside that should not tick? I can do it actually. Let's do this. Let's take this whole thing. Let's go to GooBase and let's paste it here. And then we need boolean should check chance, and then should int the chance value. Okay, then here we say if we should check chance, if we should check the chance and the float is blah, and here instead of this constant we are using the chance variable, again we return false. Now I want another overload for this method now that accepts none of these two, and I will say return should not tick with the word false and 0. Exactly that. This means that I don't want to have any chance, so don't bother with yourself. This means that this will fail, so we won't check this situation for the chance, and then we go forward. Also, I think I will take this part one level above, a little bit of optimization. So if we should check the chance, please check the chance. Otherwise, forget about everything. Okay, now that we have covered that, we need to come back here and we say comma true, comma. For the value, we go with configs, but from the main. So configs dot air bomb goo chance. Thank you. And I will copy this into a stone. I will remove this and paste after the word. And here we have the stone. Cool. Now we can close the stone, I think, and focus on our towering. Here we have the towering goo chance. So towering goo chance. And we can start talking about the towering itself. Now the towering goo is responsible of digging down. Basically, it will not add any ladder or anything. It will just go down, eat the word, and dig down until it hits the bedrock. The problem with this approach is that sometimes your digging is passing through lava, and because of that, we need to check if any block around ourselves is actually a lava or water. Okay, let's say that we are taking a look at our block from top to bottom. This is our goo block, okay? As I said, this goo block will become air because we are digging down. Now, what if one of these 4 blocks are lava or water? It will immediately flow toward this air and it will screw up our plan. So we want to make sure that if we have water or stone in one of these 4 blocks, we will convert them to stone. And we are not checking these corner blocks, and we shouldn't check the up and down blocks because, as I said, we are moving downward, so we are putting another block underneath ourselves, and we already moved from upward to downward, so the top side is already safe. So we say block pos array, and we call it sides equals to the position helper that we already have in our Jira base library dot position side to. Now this will remove the top and bottom, and we call it to get the pos. However, we don't have the pos, so we say properties dot block entity dot get pos. Now that we have the positions, we say for, let's see, block pos side inside side. We check if it is lava or if it's water, and in this case air. Yeah, I like it. Then we want to set the block state on that position with the stone and notify all. Now take note, I'm not checking if this water is flowing or not, or the lava is flowing or not. It doesn't matter. It will fix itself, okay? So after this, we made sure that we surrounded ourselves with a solid block or maybe a vegetable, anything that is not immediately harmful. At this point, we want to move down. So we say block pause, we say new pause equals to, let me see what is being suggested by the AI. It says position helper, that's okay. Position direct to. This is another method that I have. From our position, that's correct, toward downward. Yes, that's exactly what I want. However, as you may notice, I'm using this properties block entity pause a lot. So I will say block pause, we call it pause equals to that. And here we can use that pause again. So this is pause and this is pause. You will notice that by dissecting my check code outside of the goo blocks, now I have to calculate or retrieve this position twice, but that's not a big hit on any performance, so I'm okay with that. Now that we have the downside, it's going to become crazy. It says if new pause.getY is greater than word.getBottomY. Well, that's exactly the first part that I want. I want to make sure that I'm above the limit of the word from downside. Then we want to say, okay, let's see. If we are not in the blacklist, that's correct. Let me paste it and let's see what we are doing here. We want to see if the block at the new position that is below ourselves is not blacklisted, means that we can break it. Then it says that new position should be changed to towering goo with the unstable. Well, we don't have unstable, we have, and I know why IntelliSense is smart right now. I will tell you later. Okay, properties dot forward, and it should be true by default because we want to activate it immediately by itself and block dot notify all. Okay, then we check the downside. Now remember, we already moved down once. Here we are moving down twice from our current block's position. Let me give you a vertical diagram right now. This is our block, okay, and we want to go downward. Now we are first checking the block right underneath it. If we can break it, then replace it with another instance of ourselves. However, if we are not breaking it, without this second section of the code, we will be stuck. And well, the tunneling will fail. You have to go down, manually remove it, and put another towering block and activate it. This is not what I want. So I'm saying that, hey, please check this second one. Now, here I will add another statement, or I may ignore it, I don't know, because if we can move down, then it's okay. But if we can't move down, if this fails, that is when I want to move down one more block and check this block. Again, if I'm failing here, I will do at least 6 layers. So this is 1, this is 2. So I will call it 1 layer down here, and I will go to 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Normally, ORs in the Word won't have more than 3 layers of boxes, one after another. However, I'm moving down 3 times, 6 times to make sure that I already bypassed the layer. So I will say else if the word that get block state from the new position, this is already the downside, go 1 layer extra down, and again check the blacklist. If that position is safe, then set it to our properties. Okay, now I will take this code and I will paste it. So down, and here I will say 2 times because this is down 1 time. Okay, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and 5th time. So we already checked 6 blocks below our current goo block. At this stage, we are sure that we replaced any block below ourselves as a new instance of a towering goo block. So right now we have another copy of ourselves somewhere below, and we can remove ourselves. So we say word.set block state at our current position with the air and notify all. Now you may say, hey, how did either Copilot or AI from IntelliJ knows what you're doing? The reason is this UGoo at top. This was an old version of my mod, and as you saw, I had that unstable code somewhere, and it's already published on Modrint. So it is aware of this context here, UGoo, and he sees that I have the same block entity inside UGoo. Right now, he is understanding that I'm writing the same class again, so it's suggesting part of that code again. Let's move through what we had done. Let's say that I added a towering goo, and we are looking from this direction. We want to go down, and I activated it, so it's activated. And let's say that the block that is underneath it is not a blacklisted block. So we are falling in this first condition. The block at the new pause here is not in the blacklist, and we accept that. So we set this new block, the green one, to be a new instance of another towering goo. Basically, I'm saying that, hey, please replace yourself with a new towering goo, and please make yourself powered. So it is powered. Now that we set the block underneath ourselves, we are failing every one of these, and we set to this last line of code, and we say, okay, remove ourself and become air. Now, in the next tick, it's this block's turn to do all these checks. And let's say that, okay, the block underneath it was again not blacklisted. Everything was okay. So it will become a new towering goo. It will be activated. And at the end, it will become air. And this moves on and on and on until we hit void, and it will stop. Actually, you will see that the limit will stop us from digging through bedrock. Actually, I will make sure that the bedrock is inside towering goo blacklist. However, here is the question: do we have this tag generated properly? We need to keep that in mind. So I will open the data gen, and of course it will take its sweet time, so I have to wait and come back. Okay, let's go into block tag provider and take a look at our tags. We have the pickaxe mineable, we have axe mineable, need iron tool, diamond tool, copper, blah blah blah, hammer blacklist, excavator blacklist, and is machine, fences, fence gates, walls, and this is related to DCLR. Now, we don't have anything dedicated for the goo. One of the things that I don't like about IntelliJ is that this code is not foldable. So I have to actually put a region here saying that this is a region for pickaxe mineable, and at the end close that region. So now I can just fold it, and this is need iron tools. So again, region need iron tool, and again at the end region. Honestly, this is a little bit of a trick, but at least now I have easier time moving up and down. And I have to do that for everything actually that is a little bit extending. So this will be hammer black list. Okay, now let's go back and add our tag here. So we say region, this will be towering goo, and we have the get or create tag builder for the reference dot, I hope we have it, towering goo. No, it's not chance, it's blacklist. So this is blacklist, and as you notice, we don't have it yet. We will have an error here. Actually, I'm not sure. Indexing is not letting me see things as fast as possible. But let's take a look at our mod reference. We have tooltips, DCLRs, entity tag, armor tag, tools, ingredient, block tags, and here we have, nope, we don't have the goos, okay? So I will have another tag that says, remove that, towering goo blacklist, and we will change the name to towering goo blacklist. And as you know, whenever we have a tag, we need to add that tag to our translation. So where is our tags? It should be inside reference. Let's take a look for gem blocks. Here we go. So we have gem blocks, is machine, and none of the others, and hammer blacklist. So we don't have any of these. Okay, good to know. So Control D, that's this guy, ruby block, sapphire block, and something interesting, we didn't add any translations for these. We left them empty. I should really fix that. Okay, after that we have is machine that we already covered. Then we have hammer blacklist that we have it there. Excavator blacklist, incorrect for enderite tool, and finally, now we have the towering. Now, here is a habit of mine. Each time I see something like this, I have a method that is not covering everything possible, or I did forget some translations here and there, or anything else actually. I will keep that in mind, and after I finish the recording, or if I am not recording, it will be immediately after my job, I will go back and check the whole thing. What do I mean by that? Right now, I noticed that I didn't translate any of the tags for the block tags on the reference. I have lots of tags from reference being covered, but I'm not sure if I did miss anything here. And because of that, when I stopped recording, I will go back and compare my reference tags one after another, and I make sure that I did translate every tag properly. Now, here is one thing. Although we have a note in Fabric blog that says if you don't provide translations for tags, they will be translated automatically. However, I prefer to have them by myself and get done with it, because this way I will make sure that I have covered everything the way I want them to be. And this is smeltable. I'm not sure about how should I type it so that I get rid of those typos. Anyway, I didn't miss a key here as sit rain. Now we can move on and make sure that we have the tag, and we don't need this curly braces actually. Okay, here we say .add, and what I want to do is actually add the value variable blocks from vanilla or my own mod that should not be broken and is actually meant to be used a pickaxe on. For example, any gem or amethyst blocks or amethyst clusters, ancient debris, anvil barrel, or anything else. And honestly, this list is a little bit big. And because of that, I will copy and paste it, and then we will take a look at how huge this list is. I have it in my notes, and yes, notice that we were at line 523, and at the end of the list, we are at 630 something. So 110 blocks like amethyst blocks, anvil, barrel, beacon, bedrock. As I said, we will blacklist bedrock. Bee nest, beehive, bell, black shulker box, or any other shulker box colors, blast furnaces, or any type of ore, or end portals, or end frames. Anything that you can think of that either should be broken using a pickaxe or shouldn't be broken at all is being listed here. So this is the blacklist for the towering goo. The towering goo will ignore any of these blocks and will not replace them with itself. Now that we have it, we can actually give it a test in the game. However, IntelliJ is still indexing, and go and compare the indexing process from the start of the video. I highly doubt that this did move forward even a little bit. Anyway, this is our towering goo. Now, we have a little problem with this logic, and yes, I'm aware of it. The problem is that we are not dropping any blocks. We just make that block vanish because first we are replacing it with ourselves, and then in the next tick it will be converted into air and vanish. And this means that we will lose some maybe interesting blocks, not dirt, not a stone, but anything that is usable as a decorative block, and we may drop them and lose them, and this is not what you want. So in the next video we will come back to this towering class, and first we need to change this guy a little bit, this side one, and especially this single line when we are getting the side two. And after that, before we set the block to be an instance of towering goo, we have to break the block that was below ourselves, or actually think about another way. However, I think breaking it would make sense, and we will talk in the next video about that process. Okay, this is me from future. When you don't have IntelliSense, coding is really hard because you can't track your own errors. For example, I didn't notice that rules is not being imported, so I have to re-import it myself again. However, now I noticed that we have a little bit of a problem. First of all, I have to get this block pose almost every single time in every one of the goos that I'm working with. So I have to move it up, and I will say that, you know what, the goo base, please accept this as a param. So this will be the world, then we have the pause, and that's it. However, now we have this one. The state is again one thing that I'm checking here to get the powered state. And I don't want to deal with that in the shape of having generics, because if you notice the properties dot block entity, now this one will be a type of block entity, and any block entity can have the block state. So I may want to say that, hey, you know what, please send in the block entity, and we call it entity. And this time we will say that our state equals to entity dot get state. And now remember that we have to send in the block entity and then the position. So for the position, it's easy. We have it already. For the block entity, we have this block entity dot properties. And as I said, we have to remove this position on top. And this makes it so that now we are not dealing with anything else. However, you notice that we are saying properties.block entity, properties.block entity, properties.block entity. When you have a repetitive code like this, it's really good to have a variable for it, because instead of reading that field 3 times, you are caching it once and then use your local cache. And it's a little bit of performance optimization here. Not that much, but a little bit. So I will copy this, and I have to paste it every time I'm doing this tick. So I will get this position from here, paste it, and go into the stone and paste it. Okay, now what else should we take care of? I think we had covered everything. As I said, right now I don't have IntelliSense, so I need to make sure that, for example, this block pose is being imported properly, block entity is being imported properly, although you don't see the color change on block pose because of indexing. This should be it. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.